back to another video of LeetCode Daily Challenge Streak Series, and in today's video we have a LeetCode easy question, and the question says unique number of occurrences. What does the question say? The question says, given an array of integers ARR, return true if the number of occurrences of each value in the array is unique or false otherwise. Now, let's understand the question. It says that given an array of elements, we are supposed to check the frequency of every element given in the array, and we are supposed to return true if the frequencies are unique, like completely unique. If the frequencies are unique, we are supposed to return true, otherwise false. For example, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 3. Now, let me take a different color to count the frequencies. Now, what is the frequency of 1 in this array? It's 1, 2 and 3. Next, what is the frequency of the element 2? It's 2 because 1 and 2. Now, what is the frequency of the element 3? It's 1 because it's only occurring one time. Now, if you see the frequency here, this is the element and this is the frequency. If you see the frequency here, the frequency occurrences are unique. Okay, nothing is being repeated among the frequency elements. So, it means that the number of occurrences are unique. So, we will return true. Okay, now let's take a different example. 1, 2, 3. Okay, element and frequency count. Now, for the first element, 1. What is its frequency? It is 1. For the second element, 2, what is the frequency? It is 1 as well. For the third element, 3, what's the frequency again? It's 1. So, if you see the frequency occurrences here, it's all the same. It's all the same. It means that the elements, the frequency occurrences are not unique. So, we'll be returning false. That's it. As simple as that. Now, how do we code this? How do we write in the form of the code? What could be the logic for this thing? Now, if you know how a set works, you know that you cannot add a duplicate element in the set. You cannot add a duplicate element in the set. So if I were to add the frequency occurrences elements, if I were to add these elements into the set, I will be only able to add once. I'll be able to add this element 1 once because set does not encourage duplicacies. We can only add one element once. Correct? Now, if I were to write this particular thing in a set, for this example, if I were to write the elements in a set, I'll be able to write 1, 2 and 3. This will be the set here. Now, if you compare the set of these elements and the frequency array, you can see that the number of elements in the frequency array. Okay, let me just write the frequency array here. Frequency occurrences. This thing will be 3, 2 and 1. Okay, 3, 2 and 1. And the set will be 1, 2, 3 or 3 to 1. Anything. Okay, now if you compare the frequency and set, the number of elements in the frequency and the number of elements in the set will be same. Will be same for this example. So, whenever the elements in the frequency array and the set are equal, meaning every unique occurrence will be present in the set as well. That is when you will return true. That's when you will return true. If the frequency array, if the number of elements in the frequency array, the elements will have all the occurrences, all the frequency occurrences. So, it will be 1, 1 and 1. The frequency occurrences here will be 1, 1, 1. But if you were to write a set of this thing, you'll only have 1 in this. You'll only have 1. So the number of elements in this one and number of elements in this one is not the same. So you'll be returning a false. That's it. That's the logic. You have to get the frequency array and then get the set out of the frequency array elements. You have to check if the frequency number of elements and set elements, the count of them are equal or not. If the count is not equal, then you will be returning true or false accordingly. If the count is same, then you will be returning true. If the count is not the same, you will be returning false. As simple as that. Okay, now let's quickly code this up. We have a function unique occurrences given in which an input array is being sent. What are we doing first? We are creating a frequency array with the elements or frequency occurrences of this particular array. How do we create a frequency array in Python? We can simply use the counter class from collections. Okay, from collections we will be importing counter. Now, what does this counter do? This counter is a class from the collections module that helps us count the occurrences of each element in the given array. Now let's create a frequency array. Let me just name this as frequency array. Now, what will I do? I will be getting the frequency count of each element using this counter class. So if I simply write counter of array, I'll be having the frequency occurrence, as in the frequency of every element in this particular array will be stored in the frequency array in their respective indices. Now, what am I creating? I'm also creating a frequency set. Now, how do I get the frequency set? I will simply convert this frequency array into frequency set. Set of frequency array dot values. Okay, I am just simply converting the values, frequency array values, into the set. What am I doing in the end? We are just comparing the lengths of the frequency set and frequency array, and will be returning a true if their lengths match. Otherwise, we'll be returning false. Okay, return length of frequency set equals length of frequency array. Now, what are we doing here? It's just another way of writing. If length of this is equals to length of this, then return true, otherwise return false. You don't have to write if this whole thing. Let me just copy paste this. Control C. If this is true, okay, if this is true, then return true, else return false. You don't have to write this every time. You can just write return this if it's true. It will automatically check if this particular condition is true or false. If this is true, then it will automatically return true. If this is false, then it will return false. You don't have to write if and else for this thing. Now let's quickly run the code. Okay, it's accepted, and let's quickly submit it. Okay, it's submitted. Now, let's talk about the time complexity. What is the time complexity of this thing? Since we are iterating over all the elements in the array to store its frequencies, if there are n elements in the array, we are iterating over n elements in the array to store the frequencies. So the time complexity would be O of n. Since we are also iterating over the array again to change them into set and get the values, the time complexity would be O of n. Talking about the space complexity. Since we are using a frequency array of size n to store the frequencies and also the set to store the elements, if there are n elements, if there are n unique frequencies, we'll be using a set of size n. The space complexity would be O of n. Okay, thank you guys.